Hi guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Today we are going to take just a few minutes and revisit my travel anxiety book that I put together for my trip in the middle of March. As I said, when I put this book together, I experience anxiety on planes. And so I like to use some of my Happy Planner notebooks to kind of create like an activity book to help with stress and anxiety. And I did this on my birthday trip back in 2024, and it was a lifesaver. And so I decided to do it again for this trip. And once again, it was a lifesaver. I had no anxiety, no stress. Well, other than some travel stress, but as far as just like anxiety from being on the plane, which is what I typically experience, none of that. So I just wanted to kind of go over how I actually used the book and what it kind of looks like when I'm finished. Now, I will say I didn't complete everything in this book, and I didn't intend to. That's not the purpose of the book. I will put this book aside, and next time I travel, I'll use it again. Sometimes I take it on road trips, any trip really, but yeah, it's not intended to be completed. It's intended to give me a selection of activities as I'm traveling. So I just used a Happy Planner notebook. This one is the Bug Robbins notebook. I got it on a deep discount, like less than $4 on one of the Happy Planner clearances. I always start my travel book with a checklist. And again, I did a video putting this book together, so I'm not gonna go over like how I put it together necessarily. I'm just gonna go over how I used it. So what I do with the checklist is before I leave, usually the day before, I make a list of everything that I might do in this book. So everything from like lettering practice, what type of planning I want to work on, anything that I feel like I just want to spend time on or I need to do. And then the highlight, I go through and I highlight the items that I might want to focus on first. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't, as you can see in here. And then as I do the task, I check it off. So you can see I was able to accomplish several of these tasks during my travel. So, okay, I make this double-sided. Now, if I travel again, I will probably reprint this page or just continue filling it out, just depends. I just have a nice cover page here. This was just, preparing for travel, so I threw this in the book as well. The first section, I always have that as my creative section. And so for this trip, I put some really nice hand lettering practice pages. I love these because they are extremely basic, but I actually didn't get a chance to go through any lettering practice. I just, my trip leaving my home was really short. The flight was like an hour. And so I really didn't get a chance to do a lot in the book. And then I had some issues coming back. We will get into that, but I had some issues coming back. But one of the flights coming back, the plane was so small, I could not even really let down the tray. So I really didn't have a good place to do this. But I love these pages, and I actually am going to move these to my well-being journal so that I can continue doing these over the next few weeks and months. This actually came with more pages in this little set. I think I only put like 5 or 6 in this book. So I'm probably going to print out all the pages and then move them to my well-being journal. So love it. I did get a chance to color, so I do have some coloring pages in here. Coloring is great for me. I love adult coloring, although this looks like, pretty childish. But this is one of those like bold and easy coloring books, or cute and comfy, that's like really popular right now. I love them because I'm actually not great at coloring. And so having like a simple picture that's with really thick lines, that's really easy for me to color, and that is what I need. So I did color. Coloring is just really good for stress and calming yourself. These simple pictures take about 45 minutes. And so if you have, like, for example, a 3-hour plane ride, you can do a couple of these, and I promise you it'll take your mind off of whatever anxiety you have going on. I actually did this one in the airport, well, in the hotel and the airport coming back on my trip, because my original return flight was canceled, unfortunately, and they rebooked me for the next day. So that was extremely stressful because I had to get an extra night hotel. I had to stay over. They told me at the last minute. I was so stressed. And then they booked me on a flight basically where I traveled all day, right? I was on one 3-hour flight and then a 2-hour flight. And I ended up getting home at like midnight. So it was like a whole day of travel. That's not what I originally planned. And guys, my stress level went sky high because I purposely chose direct flights that were pretty short because I have extreme anxiety on planes. And so I was like really stressed out. So I actually started doing this one in the hotel just to kind of calm my nerves, if I'm being honest with you. And it worked. It really did. And then I continued it in the airport, and I was just so much more relaxed and calm when I got on the plane. So this is one of my pages in here. I used alcohol markers to color that. So in this book, I have to, with alcohol markers, they do bleed. No matter what type of paper you use, alcohol markers are going to bleed. But they also give you this really nice flat result, which is beautiful. So it's kind of a trade-off. So what I do is I have this cardstock, and I just had it in my book so that I could easily, put it behind the page as I was coloring. Now, y'all, this picture, we had a little struggle. We were on the struggle bus with this picture. I did this picture, with crayon, and I don't like to color in crayon, but I said, you know what, let me try it. And I used some cheap crayons. Well, I used the mix, but my mom had given me some skin tone crayons, and she got them from the Dollar Tree. And you can get some good crayons from the Dollar Tree, so I'm not trying to judge the Dollar Tree. I get a lot of planning supplies from the Dollar Tree. However, the Dollar Tree brand crayons, y'all stay away from them. The Jot crayons, just stay away. They are so waxy, which is why her skin looks the way it does. You can tell the difference. This is Crayola, the sweater, like the blue and the green. You can tell a clear difference. I could do some shading on the Crayola or with the Crayola. I couldn't do any of that in the face and the neck. Horrendous. But I finished it. Now, the hair is not Crayola, but it did better than the Jot brand. The hair is another off brand that I got at a discount store. It's just not worth it. Crayola crayons are cheap enough. Just buy Crayola if you're going to color with crayon. Anyway, so there were there are additional pictures that I didn't get a chance to color because you can't color everything, right? But I will leave these in here again for my next trip. Also, I was just doing some lettering, some practice, just kind of writing words and stuff like that. That's why I always have note paper in my travel anxiety book, because I just like to play with markers and pens and paper. So sometimes I'll just write totally random things. But that particularly, there was a new travel flight attendant on our plane. That was her first day, and she was so nervous, guys. She started crying. So I wrote her a little letter, just letting her know that, she did fine. And so I was kind of practicing the cover page right there. That's what that was. All right, so the next section is what I use to just kind of plan. So if you see my checklist, I actually have several planning activities on here, like planning my Q2 budget approach, which is what I spent the most time on, going over personal goals, content planning. So I do use the time to plan because anything to distract me on the plane is what I'm doing. So I have a ton of just blank notebook paper in this section because it's all about notes. I usually just take notes. I don't worry about what it looks like. And then when I get back home, I'll transfer it to the appropriate pages in my planner. So I have list after list after list after list in here, and just random thoughts, everything that I feel like I need to do. I was really focused on my what I need to do to set up for Q2. And if you watch my videos, you know that I have some pretty major changes coming to my budget approach. So I was really trying to work through that, and it took pages and pages of notes of you know, saying I'm gonna do it this way. Nope, that's not gonna work. I'm gonna do it that way. And it's just, it distracted me, which is the purpose of having a travel anxiety book. So I went through all this, and then finally at the end, I was able to come up with my standard budget for Q2. And I just kind of wrote this here. And then I did a summary of what my budget is going to look like each month. Not too detailed, but just a couple of things that I'm going to focus on for each month. All of this stuff, when I set up my budget in my budget planner for Q2, I will reference these pages and then make sure that I accommodate that in my budgets as I set them up. So then I kind of wrapped up this section by having a list of my actions. Like, what do I need to do when I get home to pull all that stuff off? And so this is like the actions that I need to do. And it just kind of continued over here to each type of planner that I work on and what I need to do to set it up for Q2, what filming I need to do when I get back home, stuff like that. So again, that section is all about planning. I didn't need to use this page, and there are some notes pages that I didn't use. But this is why when you see me pick up clearance planner supplies, I'm pretty much always going to pick up a pack of filler paper, because I am a list person. I make notes all the time, and you can use them in so many different ways. And when they're on clearance, they're like $2 for a whole pack of filler paper. They never go to waste for me. You can always do something with filler paper. So that wrapped up that section. And then in the third section, I set it up for content planning. I didn't have a lot of time to do content planning because you see how much time I spent on my budget, which was the most critical thing, if I'm being honest with you. So I did do some pre-planning for content. That's okay. I still have a couple of weeks, about a week left to do my content planning for the quarter. But I got a good idea of what I needed to do because it's front and back. So I definitely got some good ideas here, but I didn't have a chance to go through and fill out any of the content worksheets. These worksheets do go in my small business planner, so I will take these out because I'm not going to reprint these for the quarter, and I've already printed them. So I'm going to move them to my small business planner, use my notes that I jotted down in my travel anxiety book to fill these pages out. So that's how that works. And I have a few notes pages in the back. So that is how I use my travel anxiety book. What I will do with this book now that my travel is over is I leave this book together, right? Because I do a lot of travel, and the pages I need to take out, such as my small business pages, I'll take those out. I'm going to take out the lettering pages and move them to my creative planner so that I can continue doing those. Some of the notes pages I'm going to leave in here. My coloring pages I'm going to leave in here so that when I get ready for another trip, I have some items in here that I can kind of start with, and then I just replace the pages that I removed, right? I may not need to do content planning on my next trip, so I wouldn't put content pages back in there. I don't know what I might need to focus on, but the planner is together. the travel book is together, and I can put whatever pages I may need to focus on for that trip. So that's how I used my travel anxiety book, guys. I encourage you to try this. It's a great way to use extra notebooks and a great way to use filler paper. Thanks so much for watching this video, and happy planning.